Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is More Yoshiyahu Dawid of the Ark, which represents the Awakening Remnant Coalition. And I decided on today I was going to kind of do a follow-up on the video that I tried to post yesterday. It took forever to upload, so I'll try to keep this one short and hopefully it'll upload today. To give you, Zion, encouragement in these last days. If you appreciate these videos and you appreciate these meditations and the scriptures, consider supporting the work of the Ark so that we can continue to do it. And for those of you who are supporting Todah Rabbah, thank you very much. Expanded, we cannot do this without you. One love and Todah for your prayers. I want to kind of follow up on what I started yesterday, talking about real life. Like, what is real life? And the reason that it's important that we define real life is because, unfortunately, we live in a time now where it seems that hardly anyone actually knows what real life is, or may I say it like this, or how real life is supposed to be lived. Because obviously, make-believe life seems to be now more important than actual real life. I have an older brother. This is an actual true story, 100% true story. I have an older brother who, of course, grew up in the country just with me. With the family, just like me. And when he graduated from high school, he was an actor, or is still an actor. When he graduated from high school, you know, of course, the first place he moved to was L.A. Moved to Hollywood and got a couple of roles in some sitcoms back then, and I think he was on a different world. Some of y'all my age or older, you know about that. And he was on a movie, one of the earlier Eddie Murphy movies. He was an extra and just a bunch of stuff. I was watching TV all the time. I seen my brother at the time, his name Maurice, but his name has changed since then. Anyway, I remember after he had been gone for a while, he came back, and I was like, cause we called him Mo. I said, so Mo, man, what's it like, man? I mean, like, tell me how is it? What's it like down there? And he said this to me. He said, everything that you see on television is fake. And I said, what do you mean? He said, everything that you see on television is fake. And I remember my response and my reaction to that, because at the time, you know, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, how can they fake this, and how can they fake that, and how can they fake this? And he started explaining how they can fake anything. They can fake a city, a town, a country, a particular mountain range, somebody can fake everything you see is fake. So I was like, okay, that's very interesting that he would say that. And I was like, I remember the first time, because he worked down there, obviously he knew everybody, and to this day, he still have friends and people that he works with down in Los Angeles. But anyway, I remember going down there and him taking me, I was a teenager at the time, him taking me to Universal Studios and showing me where these different sets are. And then he showed me the trailers where certain movies were made, and he started showing me all this kind of stuff. And he said, and I remember asking him, I said, so what about what they call reality TV? Now remember, this is a long time ago when they, like, quote unquote, do real things. And I remember him saying, He said, whenever you introduce a camera into a situation, you immediately have changed that situation from being real to unreal. There is no such thing as reality TV. As soon as you involve a camera, some lights, lighting, microphones, a crew, a stage crew, makeup crew, whatever, he was like, oh man, it ain't real no more. That's not real life. And I remember years later, he proved it by just simply hearing people have a conversation. And then he'd just bring out, this was before everybody had cell phones. He would just bring out a camera and watch the room change immediately. As soon as the camera came up and he was getting ready to do something, the mood of the whole room changed. Why? Because when the camera came on, of course, it changed the reality. So what you perceive to be real is fake. Now, let's fast forward decades to where now you don't have to, people are not just tied to like a television. Now everybody is tied to what's called social media, which is also fake. Everybody's tied to metaverse, Facebook life, YouTube world. It don't matter what it is. It is not reality. In other words, what people say and what people do and how people act behind a camera is not necessarily real life. And may I say this, it's not the life that you can or you should say, I'm going to some kind of way mimic what I see on television. I'm going to try to mimic what I see happen at an award show. And for those of us who grew up on stages, we still trying to understand how, like my brother called me, we still trying to understand how there wasn't gold and glass and bruises all over that. But anyway, that's beside the point. Beside the point. The point is, in real life, certain things just don't happen in real life. And I've discovered something, and I'm going to share this, and then I'm going to be done with the video, believe it or not. I discovered that the reason people act a certain way in the world, and I'm going to talk especially about Israel, because I got a follow-up video coming. The reason Israel does not know how to live the life of a true Israelite is because we don't know the difference between fake life and real life. The devil has succeeded in blending the two together so that we can't differentiate between fiction and nonfiction, real and fake, what should be done and what should not be done, what type of behavior is acceptable and what type of behavior is not acceptable. Because of social media and other pressures that are in this beast, we find ourselves warring with either the teachings of the world and the world system in this society versus the teachings of Torah. And I mentioned on the previous video that our problem is that we don't know life because we don't know Torah. Now, what is Torah? Torah is instructions. So now you got to go back to a root, or what we would call a foundation. And I was disturbed all night yesterday, and I want to kind of share with you what was disturbing in my ruach, which in English you would say in the spirit, or in my life, in my breath. One of the things was the fact that how can you expect a people robbed and spoiled, a people with no identity, identity stolen, a people with their language stolen, with their culture stolen, with their land stolen, with their wealth stolen, with their kingdom stolen, with their, and even, believe it or not, with their Torah stolen from them. And even now that you all have a Bible, the places that you go to that's supposed to be teaching the Bible have told you that that there are parts of the Bible that are done away with. So even holding a Bible, you don't read it to live it because you are told it's unnecessary to live it, and don't even read it. It's done away with. And so therefore, what is a nation that is a victim of identity theft, land theft, and even human trafficking? That's us, victims of that, for sure. Then how are we to find what real life is versus fake life when we have only looked to fake life to be our father, to be our mother, to be our instructor, to be our guide? And I start listening to people talk, and they started saying stuff like, I was watching the Cosby Show, and he had became like my father and like my mother. Or I was watching Good Times. Or I saw this movie, and this person, I watched this movie 50 times because this person right here I can relate to. Or this movie, or that movie, or this movie. And then they start saying, I saw this sitcom, or during this talk show, this doctor said this. Is that a real doctor? Well, no, but I'm just saying, I was watching this show about, it's a hospital show. This is a adventure show or whatever. And every one of these, you start realizing that the experience that each person talks about that helped shape their life all came from a place that's fake. All come from a place that's phony, that's not real life. And so the results of that 30, 40 years later is that, and really I'm over 50, so 50 years later, maybe 60 years even, the result is we have an entire generation of people that have grown up without knowing what life really is, and what is life and what's fake life. A lot of times when I'm telling people my story of how I was raised, and I was raised around almost all men. I know that might be odd to hear today, but it's still the truth. I can't deny my upbringing. When I hear people talk about what men would do, what a real man would do, what a real man would say, how a real man would respond. When I hear people talking about that today, I'm going, no, that's not how a real man. I didn't grow up around nobody but real men. And I've never seen that I've never seen real men behave the way these males are behaving today. I've never seen that. I've never seen it. I came from a place of realness. I mean, real life, growing up in the country where you didn't just see a picture of a horse, you had a horse. I mean, you didn't just, go buy a piece of chicken. You raised chickens. Like, you knew what chickens were. When you didn't just go see a garden. You grew a garden every year. You didn't go to no petting zoo. You had your own. You didn't just look at pictures of the ocean. You went to the water. You didn't just think about camping or watch somebody else camping and call it survival. No, you went camping and you learned how to survive. And when it came to certain things, my generation wouldn't even have a conversation about it. I'm talking about the older generation, the people who grew up in real life. Now, again, I'm not saying this in order to hurt nobody's feelings or to make a person feel a certain way. I just want you to know that the beast system, it's obvious that the beast system has become successful in swapping out the real life of Torah, because that's where I'm going, with the fake life of the beast and the beast system, which operates in lies and deception, which operates in fake worlds, in made up worlds, and in made up actions and behavior. I got more to talk about Zion. But on the way out of this video, I want to share a very important thing with you. All right, number one, our life, to find life, we have to find Torah, which is our scriptures. And we need to decide, are we with the beast or are we with Torah? Are we with the beast system or are we with Yah? And it starts in the beginning. So when I say Torah, I'm talking about the Bible. So when we talk about the holy scriptures, we have to begin right there. Do we believe Torah or the beast when it comes to creation? Which one? Because Torah tells us one thing. The beast teaches us something totally different. Creation, or the beginning of the world. We believe creation, Yah did it. The beast teaches that evolution did it. What do we believe about the man, Adam, the original man? Was he a real man? How was he made as a man? Do you believe what Torah says? Or do you believe what the beast says about man? I think you're all catching my point. When it comes to the woman who was taken out of man, do you believe what Torah says about the woman? Or do you believe what the beast is now teaching about the woman? How about the children? I can go on and on. What do you believe about worship? The day of worship. That which Torah teaches is the day of worship? Or that which the beast teaches is the day of worship? What do you believe about wealth? That which Torah teaches concerning what real true wealth is, or what the beast teaches? And I can keep going. Wisdom. Is wisdom from Torah or is wisdom from the beast? Knowledge. Is true knowledge from Torah or the beast? See how I can do this? I can do this whole thing. How we are to treat one another, how we are to live with each other, how we are to function properly. So unless we return to Torah, we will never return to real life, because real life for us is Torah. It's the scriptures. And I'm going to, the Most High was telling me to do something, I'm going to do it. And that is, I'm going to share with you all the fact that, one, the Israelites that you look at today, those of us bloodline descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, from the line of the Shemites. One thing that you're going to notice about us is, that you're going to know about us is that we're royalty. The majority of us is from the royal line of the tribe of Yehuda. I don't have time to go into that right now. But we have been given books in the Bible, in the Old Testament, that everybody keeps talking about is done away with. We've been given certain books just for the purpose of understanding what real life is, versus that which is from the devil, or which is fake, or which will get you killed. And the books that are set apart for that, we can start with, well, I mean, you know, obviously I know we can use any book, but I'm just going to pinpoint. We can start with Proverbs. Then we can look at the Song of Solomon. And then we can, Ecclesiastes. And we can look at the Song of Solomon. And in those books, you start to see instructions given from a father to a son, from a king to a prince, from a queen to his prince. We start reading from a prince to his princess. And you will discover that the life that we are supposed to live as Israelites is really a transcendent life to this foolishness that we see going on that we think is real life. This idea that the only kind of real life for us is the life of stealing, killing, and destroying. It's the life of the hood. It's the life of the ghetto. It's the life of the Hollywood this or the Hollywood. It's the life of this. No, The real life we have is the life of Holy Jerusalem, the life of the royal line of the tribe of Yehuda and his companions. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Got more to say. Just don't have time to say it right now. One love, Zion. If this was encouraging to you. Oh, I didn't read the verse. Hold on. The proverb of Solomon, the son of King David, king of Israel. You want to be wise? Here it is. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity, to give subtly to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. Here we go. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. We're going to cut it off right here. We're going to pick it back up, Zion, in the next video. Why? Because somebody, somewhere, is going to have to show this generation the difference between real life living, the life of royalty, versus this fake life of the beast. We got to get it together. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Shalom. Support the work of the Ark if you can. One love.